Welcome back. You're watching HFO-TV. HFO-TV is co-sponsored by J.R. Johnson LLC, specialists in multifamily restoration and repair work. Gantry Incorporated, the nation's largest independent mortgage banking firm. Beutler Exchange Group, offering 1031 tax-free exchange services. And Forensic Building Consultants, experts in the diagnosis, repair, and preservation of multifamily assets.
Welcome back to HFO-TV. I'm Greg Frick, partner at HFO Investment Real Estate. And back with us again, we have Miss 1031, Toija. Thank you for coming and seeing us again. I thought it would be interesting to talk about something that has been around for a long time, but it seems in the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years, and really picked up steam in terms of the number of clients that we've seen look into it and be interested. And it's a Delaware Statutory Trust, also known as a DST.
Right.
Maybe give a little insight. I mean, like I said, we've had a number of clients go into them, trade out of their existing, real estate, multifamily investment, and go into a DST. And maybe you could kind of shine light for people that aren't aware of them. They hear it but don't really know what it is, and then we can kind of go in depth about it.
Yeah. So the Delaware Statutory Trust, of course, it's real estate, fractional ownership of commercial properties. And it's been a nice option for some of our clients who want out of active management.
Right.
It is a security as well, so they have to work through a licensed financial advisor in order to purchase these. But it's real estate. It works very well for 1031.
So there is somebody in between in terms of the purchase. They just, yes.
Right, there definitely is. There's a financial advisor that has a broker-dealer behind them, and then there's sponsor companies that create these the product. So there's really several layers in there.
So a little different than like the old TIC, tenant in common groups that we saw. This is a little bit more, I don't want to say sophisticated, but a different level of...
Right. Frankly, it's the new version of the TIC. The TIC was quite complicated, particularly for lenders, because in a tenant-in-common ownership, each of those fractional owners had to be vetted for the loan and go on the loan. And they all had to bring their money together at the same time and purchase that property together. Now, the DST is more sophisticated, and it is based on some guidance from the IRS about how these need to be formatted.
Okay.
And as I say, they are securities. So it's like the newer version of the TIC, and it's preferred by the lenders because instead of the lender having to vet every single owner of that property,
200 different owners or 150, they can look at it.
The sponsor company goes in, acquires the property, gets the financing, puts it against the property. It's already in place, and the clients do not, and it's non-recourse debt. And so the buyers coming in the lenders don't have to deal with each one of those buyers.
And then from a timing standpoint, the traditional 1031, you sell the property, you've got 45 days to identify, 180 total to close. Is it change with the DST, or are those timelines the same?
They're the same, but one of the advantages of the DST is that there seems to be a fair amount of product out there at any point in time. And so timing is really much easier with the DST. They're on the shelf, ready and waiting for folks to select to buy a piece of that product. It's, again, with the TIC, they had to all bring their pull their money together to purchase together. So the timing of each exchange, it was very challenging. These are on the shelf, ready and waiting, and I would guesstimate that for most people who are looking to buy the DST, there's probably 5 to 8 different offerings out there at any point in time that will
they could go
simply
into.
Available.
Right.
So the 45-day deadline is not the stressor with the DST that it would be with the traditional.
I mean, it's still there, but there's options, so you're not,
Right.
Okay.
And with the DST product, we tend to buy those for the client within the 45 or shortly after, really very quickly.
So you're not running into the 180-day time frame?
No, not at all.
Got it. And are you seeing the same thing as we've seen as an uptick in terms of the popularity of those, or are they just is unique kind of to our market?
I would say that there is an uptick in the interest in those, and I think it's in large part because the financial advisors are getting the word out there that that is an alternative for people. Even when we're talking to folks in the office at the outset about what they're selling and then what they want to buy, when we hear them say that they're done being a landlord, they're really just done. But they don't want to go out of real estate. Real estate's what they know. They want to stay in real estate. When we hear that they're tired, but they don't want out of real estate, then even we will raise the concept and then point them toward folks who sell it.
Yeah, and if in our world we'll see a lot of folks that maybe were a candidate to trade into a triple net retail. I want to get out of the day-to-day of a property owner of multifamily for whatever reason. We can't just sell outright because of tax implications. We used to go into, look for triple net retail. That's not quite as viable, so to speak, as where it was 10 years ago. So looking for different options, DST seems to be, definitely one that's getting more play in our office as well.
Right. The passive triple net property, that's still something we think about too. But you're right, the opportunities just aren't what they were. And so the DST is another passive option.
And from an IRS standpoint, they check the boxes. There's not an issue.
Yeah, it's real estate, like any other real estate, whether you own wholly or fractional. So in fact, you get the same write-offs, deductions, depreciation, and if something were to happen to my client, why the heirs inherit with the same stepped-up basis they would have gotten with any traditional real estate. And I will say the DST is most attractive to our clients who are at or about retirement.
Right.
They're in their late 60s, 70s, and 80s. If somebody's on the phone with me and they're in their 40s, I think they're too young for it typically. They want to have more control and participate.
Yeah.
So it's for the older investor.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. It's more about somebody who wants to maintain its security. It's not something where you want to grow the estate. It's maintain, defer the capital gains. It may be easier for the heirs because there's not active management involved.
Exactly.
Yeah. And again, it's always too, if, at that point when the cash is out or you're in another exchange 5, 6, 7 years down the road, you can continue in a DST.
Yes.
In theory, you could go out and go into something else if you want to.
That's right. While they're in that DST, they have all options available at the point that property sells. We're told on average the hold period for a DST is about 7 years.
Right.
At that point, sell, pay the tax, go into another DST, bring the dollars back to the local market and buy something if they prefer. Yeah.
So there's options there for them.
That's right.
Okay.
Greg, we probably should talk about a couple of negatives with the DST.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yes.
We've done all the positives and they really can be a nice option. The two negatives that we hear from our client are, first of all, the lack of control.
Yes.
Again, the 45-year-old wants control. They will not have it with the DST. The sponsor company is making all decisions about these properties.
You are very passive. Very
That's
passive
right.
in this, yes.
That's right.
Yes.
And that's also the design by the IRS that it must be passive. And so these are really institutional grade properties that really don't need much. They're in great condition in the first place. So the lack of control, and our client doesn't even get a vote. Like the TIC, they had a vote.
Right, there was a TIC, there was a percentage vote and all that. This is completely, you're almost like a limited partner, and the general partner has all the control.
Exactly. And then the second negative has been the lack of liquidity.
Yes.
Because when they buy into that,
Yes.
the money, their principal, they'll get their income stream each month, but the principal is tied up, locked up in that asset for the duration. So it's not until that property sells that they'll have access to the principal. So if we have somebody who's in retirement years and feels that they might at some point need some of that equity for lifestyle, well, so what some of the DST sponsors are doing now are offering something that will convert into a REIT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like an upshare to a REIT.
That's exactly right. And so then at the time it's contributed into the REIT, now they're out of real estate, no more 1031, but as they need funds for lifestyle, they can cash in some of those shares. They now no longer own real estate, they own a piece of a company that owns the real estate. And so with the contribution into the REIT, they now have some liquidity that they wouldn't have had before. And long story short, the contribution into the REIT, they need to wait about 2 years. There's 2 years before they'll have that kind of liquidity.
Bill, you get the liquidity.
Right.
But getting that liquidity, though, you then have given up your ability to continue doing exchanges. That's kind of been the, I won't say the downside, but the uniqueness from doing an UPREIT versus like a DST.
Right.
Both you have no control. Liquidity, yes, you can get liquidity on the REIT, but you're done doing exchanges.
Exactly.
Whereas in a DST, you can continue to go up in an exchange.
Yeah, precisely that.
Yeah. No, I think that's always been for our client base. When I'm talking to clients, I mean, are you ready to give up control? I mean, how people want to talk about being passive, but are you really ready to be passive? And then there's a liquidity thing. If you think you're going to need something in the next short term, probably not. But if it's just maintaining the income, something easier to go to heirs, it is an option to look at for people. So, yes,
exactly.
Especially in this market where we've seen, which now brings us up to something we've talked about over the last couple of years. We've heard about legislation on 1031s. DSTs are kind of a vehicle for 1031s. What are you hearing in terms of your hotline to Washington? Is it still going? Are you feeling better than you did 3 months ago about the possibility of not having limits on 1031s, not having it, touched within 2022?
Right. So no news is good news.
Okay.
No news is good news. We're hearing nothing. We feel there's nothing showing up in Congress.
Okay.
Really, as before, every last Democrat we've spoken to understands the benefit. We updated a study recently. I think the study originally showed that 1031 created 658,000 jobs a year. We now have an update based on 2021 numbers. It shows something over 700,000 jobs with the update. So we're feeling very confident.
So we're getting some buy-in in DC about, it's not just the deferral of capital gains, it's the, what it does in terms of transaction volume and people improving properties and continuing working on that capital.
That's right. The jobs in the trades in particular, the seller fixes up their property a bit to put it on the market, the buyer buys and does more work to the property. It's jobs in the trades that's largely benefited by the 1031.
Well, that's good news to hear.
Yeah,
yes,
we're very
definitely.
happy.
Well, thank you.
Sleeping well at night.
Better. Not complete, but yeah, better.
I used to say over my dead body, but I think I shouldn't be saying
Don't say
that
that.
too much.
Yes. You never know. Well, thank you for giving us an
Thank you,
update.
Greg.
Like I said, the DST thing it's been around for a while. It just seems to have picked up steam. I think a lot of it too has to do with, I think the generation that's had real estate for a long time are coming to this point of what do we do when we want to get out of active, up in age for whatever reason, what do we want to give to our heirs? So, like I said, in our world, we've been involved in more of them than I have in the past, by a big number.
To some degree, kind of an estate planning strategy.
Yes, again, it's not to build your estate, it's more to maintain, but again, you do have some risk in terms of control and liquidity.
Yeah.
So thank you again for coming to talk to us again.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll see you soon, and we'll see you next time on HFO-TV. Thank you.
Our entire office specializes in multifamily real estate, making HFO the largest multifamily brokerage in the Pacific Northwest. Your success is our passion. Build your legacy with HFO. Call 503-241-5541 or visit our website at hfore.com for more information.